Hey guys, so today we're going to be going over another data type, lists. Lists are basically a collection of data which can then be used to store basic data types. So let's go over some of the properties of lists. For one, they are ordered, meaning that lists have a defined order which can't really be changed. But in some cases they can be, which brings up another property of lists, which is that they are changeable, meaning that you can change a specific value inside of a list to be something else, or you can add or remove item from your lists. Finally, the last property of lists is that they allow for duplicate values, meaning that you can have two or more of the same item in a list that contains the same data. So now that we've talked about the property of lists, let's go over how you initialize a list. You can do this in one of two ways. You can just have a variable like an empty list, and you can use the assignment operator to assign it square braces. Square braces in Python will signify a list. Another way you can do this is that you can use the function list. You can do this by just having a variable and assigning it to be the variable list. This will make an empty list for you if you don't put anything inside of it. So lists can be used to store any data types such as integer, floats, strings, or booleans. They can also be used to store variables that are assigned to those data types. So let's say here we have an example list, and we can then put a bunch of different numbers in it. This is a list that's storing a bunch of integers. You can do the same thing with the function list by having a variable name, and then you can assign it to the function list. And inside of this list, you would then have another set of parentheses. So right here, you do need two sets of parentheses, right? And then inside of this parentheses, you can put whatever you want in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Both of these will get you the exact same thing, a list with 5 different objects inside of it. So since lists can be used to store any of the data types like integer, floats, strings, or booleans, lists doesn't have to store a specific data type per list. They can have multiple inside of the same list. So inside of this list, we can then have a number, an integer, a float, a string, a boolean, and finally we can have other lists inside of this, right? So you can put a list inside of a list. This is what's called a 2D list, when you have a list inside of a list. You can then do this further by having a list inside of a list inside of a list to give you a 3D list. This process can then be repeated multiple times. Here we can do the same thing but with the list function, right? So list, another square brace, another parentheses around in the middle, and then you can just put whatever you want in there. So the same exact thing, an integer, a float, a string, booleans, and another list. Okay, so that's it for today.